Okay, guys. So welcome to this month's Q&A. Hopefully, everyone can hear me. Please, if someone can give me the thumbs up that they can hear me, that'd be great. And we'll start off with a couple of questions that we've got this month here on Patreon. So hope everyone's doing well. We've only got a couple of you joining us at the moment, so I'm sure that'll increase as obviously this Q&A goes on. So let's start off with the question. The first question I've got here is from Stuart, and a few people have asked me this question, so it's probably going to be quite relevant to a few of you. And sorry about the camera angle here, guys, too. Like, it's just on my phone, and I'm going to come up with a better solution here rather than it just sitting. If you could see it from my angle here, I've got baskets piled up, and it's sitting on the top, and it's very messy. But anyhow, hopefully it just does the job. So, okay, first of all, question here from Stuart, and this is over the Taipan review. So he says, "G'day Aussie. Thanks for continuing to produce good, honest, unpaid, unbribed advice from the heart and experience. Thanks for communicating with us on the occasions you can outside your production videos. And thanks for standing up for all us shooters politically and actively in what you do." Well, mate, it's my pleasure, and I do appreciate that message. Stuart says, "I was appalled at last week's accusations against you. If it was, and if not then, well, who else would it be? But to give a review in contradiction to another review and specifically point out their disapproval is not acceptable in my opinion. They could have sneakily commented where their experiences were different and leave it at that. If it was just a disgruntled manufacturer, then they should have given you something they were happy with to review. We all know you tell it the way it is and how it displays itself on the day. We are your true followers and just wanted to speak on behalf of everyone who agrees to show you we appreciate what you do and thank you for it. P.S. I don't expect you to read this out, but if you do, so be it. Thanks again, mate." So yes, obviously I will read it out, mate, because, obviously there's a few people that have commented about that. I mean, and I replied, and obviously later on a video came out from Taipan naming me specifically. So yeah, there was no, I guess, denial as to who it was. I did ask a few questions, and those questions weren't answered. So, you can think of that what you will, but obviously, I said, well, the serial number of the firearm that I had was in the 400s, and they were trying to say that it was put together from rejected parts. So my argument there's a couple of things. Is number one is, what is a rifle? What, did you take the good parts out of it and then just put the rejected parts in? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking the question. Hardly a rifle in the 400 serial numbers is a reject rifle or an R&D rifle, in my view. I mean, it could be. It's not my side of things, the R&D side of things. But if you're sending it to a manufacturer there to make a trigger for it, why would you do that if it's not meant to be fired? So there were questions there that I asked, and they weren't answered. On top of it, too, guys, we also, I mean, I could stir the pot massively and just show the screenshots from Taipan, the owner there, to myself, and at no stage did he mention that the rifle shouldn't have been shot. The only thing he did say, that he apologized about the shavings, the metal shavings. He said that each firearm at that time of that particular, serials in the 400s was test fired at the factory. Every single rifle was test fired with overpressured rounds. So he said there could have been some shavings back in the bolt and it wasn't cleaned prior to going out. Apologized for it. There was certainly no malice in any of the messages that went back and forth. So yeah, I was really surprised, to be quite honest, because I thought, well, if it wasn't meant to be shot, wouldn't you have said something weeks ago about that? So anyhow, look, the bottom line is, I think we're getting away from the focus here with it too, guys. Unfortunately, I'm not the only one to have, a number of problems that presented with the rifle that I've used. Others have had problems with rifles that they've had. Some have had no problems, and and good luck to them with that, because I honestly hope, and I truly mean this, that Australian manufacturing kicks off the ground, and and they really make something of it. But you know, to go around like, was I happy with the way that it was done? Look, it doesn't really bother me at the end of the day, because everyone knows that I've had years of credibility building up this channel and calling it for the way it is. So, you know, if I get a firearm and it performs badly, well, unfortunately, it performs badly. If it performs good, it performs good. It's just like any of you guys who could be out at the range, for example, and you've got a firearm that you're using and you're happy with it, or you may not be happy with it, or there's some things that you like or don't like, and you point that out. And that's all that happens with my reviews. So I'm not here to bash any manufacturers, but obviously I am going to respond if someone tries to, you know, put something out that's cast a negative light over the way I do reviews. My view on it, I don't think it went the way they planned. And as I say, look, hopefully in the future, perhaps there's going to be a new edition of the Taipan, because they're all on sale now everywhere around the country. Maybe there's going to be a new one that comes out or whatever. But anyhow, it's just disappointing. You know, it's happened a couple of times with Australian manufacturers when you point out something that, you know, doesn't work for me at the time. Instead of saying, okay, well, let's fix this, let's fix the problems and get something to you that works, it gets lowered down to just cheap shots. I just really shake my head with it, because, you know, most people who are sitting back and, you know, they're on the outside looking in with this sort of thing, I don't think that impresses a lot of people. You know, a company is supposed to be professional and fix up issues and problems. And I know there's been a lot of people who have thanked me for calling not just this firearm, but other firearms out with different problems, because, you know, they've unfortunately had the same problem. So, you know, it's not about, it makes no difference to me whether a firearm is reviewed negatively or positively. That makes no difference to me. If something's reviewed and there's some problems with it, it doesn't all of a sudden get more hits than something that works really well or shoots really well. It's just the same. So, yeah, as I say, guys, there's no negative I guess, intention with any of the reviews there. I simply review the firearms as they work for me at the time. If people don't like that, I'm sorry, but that's the way I do it there. There's no malice towards any individual or company whatsoever. That's just how it is. So I guess I've waffled on long enough about that so you understand my position. Okay, just scrolling down. Next question I got here is from Benjamin. And he says, hi, Ozzy, I'm looking at buying my first centerfire rifle that will mostly be used for target shooting and on the very rare occasion, deer or pig shooting. I've been leaning towards the 25-06 or 6.5 Creedmoor. What are your thoughts on these two calibers? Well, mate, the 25-06 has been around for a long time, a lot longer than 6.5 Creedmoor. And, you know, it's a very, very powerful cartridge. You know, I mean, you can push a 117 grain pill out of the 25-06 to about 3,100 feet a second. So, I mean, that's fair moving. There's a lot of knockdown in them. However, my view is they're definitely not a target specific caliber or cartridge. The 6.5 Creedmoor there would definitely have the advantage, because you've just got so much more variety in not only factory ammunition, you know, that's available, but also if you're into reloading. And not only that, the amount of firearms that 6.5 Creedmoor is chambered for far exceeds the 25-06. So, yeah, I would personally, if it was me, from what you're saying about just doing mainly range shooting and then occasionally doing some deer or pig shooting, mate, the 6.5 Creedmoor would definitely be the way that I would go. Okay, next question we got here is from Andrew. He says, hi Ozzy, hope all is going well health-wise, mate. I've started reloading my Lithgow 102-223. My question is about cartridge overall length. I have loaded Norsler Competition 69 grain at the length of 2.3 inches. This length fits in the magazine and feeds perfectly in and out of my Lithgow. Being new to reloading, could I be in trouble with the length being too long? Am I wrong to think if it fits in the mag and the rifle cycles it okay, that it should be okay? Thanks, Andrew. Yes, mate, definitely. You're wrong there. First of all, I'm not a reloader. I used to reload, like, honestly, when I was a kid, because obviously it was so expensive. for any kid to shoot centerfire. So, I had to reload, and that was my experience with it back then. But now I just buy factory ammo that works and shoots well in the rifles that I own. So with that, mate, like I think I did write it down here, 2.260 is your maximum overall length. So you're actually going over that. So the problem with doing that, mate, is if you're doing that, what'll happen is, if you load it too long, basically your projectile can encounter the lands, on the rifling. So you can build up pressures in the rifle. So therefore it can make it unsafe. So make sure that you have a look. I mean, you can simply type it in, you can have a look at the specifications. What is the maximum overall length for the cartridge you're reloading? I do say have some caution with people, that you see on forums and things like that, where they go, oh, load this, load that. Some of it is very valuable information, but I have seen some information that personally I wouldn't do. So just be very, very careful with it, mate. But yeah, you definitely have to seek that more in there. That's over the overall length. And yeah, you've got to come within those specifications, and they're there for a reason, mate. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your safety. Okay, so next question I got here is from Michael. He says, hi Aussie, hope you're doing well. I have a Marlin 22 Win Mag XT model, and I have shot it with many different rounds, and it has amazing accuracy. It's probably one of the most accurate rifles I have shot. However, I have just one problem with it, and it's the ejector. The rounds chamber just fine, and the shell holder holds the case perfectly, but whenever I try to pull the bolt back, the spent case just doesn't kick clear of the magazine, and I end up either having to pull the case out with my fingers or tipping the rifle over to drop the case. Is there any advice you could give me? Okay, a little bit hard without looking at it personally, but rimfires is one of my passion, mate. With that too, have a look at your ejector and make sure that from that rifle, it's been ages since I've used one of them, but you shouldn't have a bent ejector, or there shouldn't be any damage there. So I would actually probably look more towards the extractor. I would ask you these questions. How long has it been doing that? Was it like that ever since new? The first thing that I would do if I personally had the rifle is I'd pick it up, I'd chamber around, I'd fire it, and then I'd lift the bolt up, come back, just slowly and see if it ejects it just slow, but then I do it really fast and see if it makes a difference there. Because some of those rifles, they need to be manhandled, so to speak, and then they will flick that case out some more. But if it's not clear at all, like is it dropping the case and it's just sitting on your magazine and then you're tipping it over? I'm sort of getting that from what you're saying. I would have a look at the extractor as well, because if it's not in combination with the ejector, not getting a good enough purchase on that case, then that could be the problem as well, mate. So it's really hard if I'm not looking at the rifle. If I had it here and I was looking at it, I could probably diagnose it and fix it within like a minute or two. But yeah, it's pretty hard there. Obviously, it's one of them. Have a look at it, make sure your ejector isn't bent. And then I would be having a look at the extractor itself there to see that it hasn't worn too much and you've got a combination of problems there. Okay, next question I got here is from Sabo, and he says, hey, mate, glad to see you up and about. Yeah, I value every day up and about, that's for sure. Interested to get your thoughts on a scope for the Vernicaron Speedline in 308. I've had a look at a few different options, like the Aimpoint Hunter H34L, for example, but I'm not sure if something with more magnification would be worthwhile. I mainly shoot paper and feral pigs with it. Okay, so my question to you on that would be like, how far do you want to shoot? For me, hunting distances are about 75 to 125 yards, usually around there. So for me, a red dot is ample. I'm happy with that. But for a scope, I mean, I would really be looking at something like a 1:6, where you wind it back to 1 power and you've got that nice reticle that you can use almost like a red dot. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, like the Cullis K16i is very much like that. I know that you were talking about a 2,500 or more scope there. It's a lot of money, but there are cheaper equivalents with that same design in mind, and you can really use it for the best of both worlds. You can zoom out there to 6 power if you want to take a more accurate shot there at 100, 200 yards with it, or you can just zoom it right back for those, close up, fast acquisition, fast shooting shots. So yeah, that would be my advice with it, mate. I have another option there, and I don't know if it's compatible with the Aimpoint Hunters, but Aimpoint do magnifiers. Now I've used those magnifiers obviously with the T2 micro, the Aimpoint Comp M5, which is more of their really compact micros. So that might be another option for you. So basically what it is you've got them sitting on your Picatinny rail, and you've got your red dot there, and you've got your magnifier behind the red dot. So if you do want to take that longer shot, all you do is roll the magnifier over, and it's lined up perfectly with the red dot, and they've got them in 3 power and 6 power from memory. So I'm sure it's 3 and 6. So you've got options there to get that bit more magnification, but you can just click it, roll it straight down, and you've just got your red dot there for that close-up shooting as well. So yeah, I hope that helps, mate. Let me know how you go. Okay, so let's have a look here. All right, guys. So that's the questions that I had from Patreon members. So I'll do my usual sort of thing there. I'll scroll through. If someone's got a couple of questions here, I'll pick it out and yeah, and go from there. Okay. So if you got a question, fire away, guys. We'll throw a few of them from there. So a few people saying g'day and thanks very much to me. So look, thanks to all you guys too. I appreciate it. Look, I know a lot of you guys too. I'll say this now. A lot of you guys, don't like Patreon. And look, I get that. So if you do want to help out and you do want to donate something to the show, I'll put it in. So you can do something by PayPal ID, and that's just AussieReviews@gmail.com. And I want to thank Ray. He donated $50 to me today, and it was completely unexpected. He knows who I'm talking about, and I thank you very, very much for it, because, that sort of stuff really does help. I mean, like I'll take the Taipan review, for example, to try to get that rifle working and hopefully get a decent outcome with it. Like a 403 rounds of ammo, so it's not cheap. It's definitely not. So, but anyhow, let's get on with a couple more questions. So we've got one here from Watch the Sky. He says, "Hi mate, what's a good starter 22 LR? I'm in Western Australia." Look, I tell you what, mate. I know it's a little bit older now, but I do have my beginner basic series on choosing the correct rimfire. Everything from the types of rimfire rifles you can get to also the scopes and even the ammunition. So I'm a big fan of CZ. I'm a big fan of Ruger. I mean, I've got a Ruger American in 22 Magnum in 22 LR, but I've also got the CZ 457 in both of those calibers too. So mate, you couldn't go wrong with any of them, honestly. They are really well valued. It depends on the old saying of how much you just want to spend on a rifle. I mean, if you want to go for budget, that's your big thing. I wouldn't go under a Ruger American. That would be my baseline. So, that's going to cost you about $500-600, probably a little bit more if you're in Western Australia, unfortunately. So have a look at that. If you can afford it, go up to about $1,000 around there. CZ is really nice. It just depends on what your likes and dislikes are. Okay, so we've got another one here. Hey Aussie, from CJ Vella. Hey Aussie, what's your opinion on grain size for hunting deer with a 30-06? Man, I tell you, like 165 grain Sierra Game Kings, and you will drop any deer in Australia with that. I don't care whether it's Samba or whatever. I used the 165 grain Sierra Game Kings out of my Ruger SR 762 in 308. And that thing just dropped everything, scrub bulls, everything else I was doing with contract shooting. They just know no mercy, those rounds. So if you're going to put them in a 30-06, you're going to have a few hundred feet a second, even more. So yeah, I would definitely use that, mate. Just an absolute brilliant round. If you want to, you can go up to like 180 grainers and things like that, but 165 grain Sierra Game Kings, correct shot placement, you'll drop any deer in Australia. Mr. Griffo, any news on the Temera 223? No, mate, I haven't. I don't know. Yeah, look, I got to get my hands on one. So at the moment, I'm trying to juggle a couple of reviews, and there's a couple of people waiting patiently for me to have a look at a few different products of theirs. So, mate, look, it could just pop up. I might have a friend who buys one and says, "Hey, I've got one. Do you want to have a look at it?" And I'll go, "Absolutely," and I'll prioritize doing it. So it's definitely, it's definitely on the list to do. Okay, so Six Knot says, just bought a CZ22LR, just wondering when I need to clean it. Interesting one, that one, because people say, oh, you don't need to clean a rimfire. Yeah, you do. All I do with my rimfires, every time I use them. So today I was using my CZ and Rugers in both 22 Magnum and also 22 LR. So what I did was I simply come back to the house. I get a patch. I push it through, just a dry patch there. I push it through, push the crap out, and do that maybe 2-3 times. That's enough. And then I spray a bit of the that CLPX that I reviewed there recently, and just push a patch down through the bore there, and then obviously get just a cleaning cloth like a Chuck's wipe, and just wipe around the bolt face, get any crud out of there, wipe over the bolt and also around where your magazine is and your ejection port, and just through there, spray a bit of that CLPX on it, and it's fine. That's all I do. There's no need to scrub the hell out of a rim fire there, so you're not expected to use a brush and scrub. You don't have to do any of that. That's all I do. I keep my rim fires nice and clean that way, and mate, honestly, it just works perfectly. So yeah, keep an eye out. That's another review I'm doing, is I'm doing the head-to-head on the CZ and the Ruger American, but in 22 LR. So because the 22 Magnum video about that was really, really popular. So yeah, I'll do it in the 22 LR as well, which is good because both of those rifles love the same ammo, which is the Ely High Velocity. So that'll be good. Okay, what do we got here? Cookie, so many thanks, mate. I'm enjoying this. I'm glad you are. Look, you guys, if you're really enjoying like the live stuff, I'll try to do a bit more of it. Even might do like a live thing when I'm actually down doing a review or something, maybe give you a little bit more of a insight. If that's something you'd like, please comment and say, yep, definitely, I'd love to see that. So, okay, let's have a look through a couple more of the questions here. Storm Spino 30-06, isn't that rated for bears? Well, mate, 30-06, yeah, 308, but 30-06 is probably one of the most popular cartridges there for bear, I guess, depending on where you are over in the States. But yeah, it's got a lot of punch. Basically, another couple hundred feet a second over 308. So there's a lot there. It's basically in between the 308 and the 300 Win Mag, the 30-06 right in the middle there. Okay, let's have a look through here. Okay, so James says favorite rifle and caliber for peaks. Okay, was definitely my Ruger SR762, which is a semi-auto 308. So I know not everyone can get that, obviously. So I'm assuming you're thinking, like a Bolt or something we can have on an A and B license. See, I'm not a massive fan of lever action rifles, believe it or not. A lot of people are surprised when they hear that. It's just something that I personally don't like. But I'm happy to review them and give you my honest thoughts on them. So for me, I would be more going for like a 7600, Remington 7600 and 308, a pump 308 would be really good. Other than that, honestly, I'd be just happy with that, or just a bolt action rifle. So Tikka, yeah, Ruger American, something like that would be just fine for me. Okay, let's have a look here. Yeah, keep the comments and questions coming through, guys. I can't get to all of them, but if something stands out to me, I'll definitely read it out for you. Okay. Okay, so Nathan Clark says, "Hey Aussie, just got my license and started shooting my 22 LR at the local range and looking at getting into precision rifle shooting. Any ideas or tips on how to get into the long range sports?" Well, mate, depending on what 22 LR you've got, you can shoot the 22 LR out at like 2 and 300, which is the equivalent when you're trying to judge the wind and everything else is very similar to a 308 at 1,000, believe it or not. So, you can start off and you can get the fundamentals with doing that. Plus, it's a lot cheaper to do. But then when you want to go into long range, there's a couple of things with it. A lot of people think you can just put a scope on top of a rifle and just shoot at that distance. It doesn't work like that. That's why when you look at like say 1,000 yard or a 1 kilometer range, why they have those flags out at every interval of about 200 or 100, because you can get wind crossing in various different directions at that at that distance. The big thing that you want to look at for like say ammunition wise when you're shooting long range is you've got to go for the highest BC, basically, so the ballistic coefficient. So what that means is it means the aerodynamics, okay, of that projectile. So think of it like an American football. So you see a quarterback throw an American football. If they throw it through the air and it's all wobbly, well, it's not good, is it? It doesn't go the distance. But if it's that smooth motion and it's just gliding, I should say, through the air, that's kind of the same thing when you're looking at something with a high BC. It's the ability there to basically be aerodynamic at longer ranges. So in other words, if you had like, say we're using a 308, right? And you were shooting maybe like 150 grain round nose projectile, like great for hunting, yeah? 100, 200 yards, no problem there at all. But if you try to shoot that out of 1,000 compared to say like a 168 grain Sierra Match King, big difference, because obviously you've got a much higher BC. That projectile is made there for match shooting, where the other is just simply a hunting projectile. It's completely two different things. So you want to really have a look at that. So jump on, like for example, like Hornby on their website, even Federal. Have a look, and you'll see down in the data there when you look at the different factory ammunition, you'll see what the BC is, and you'll be able to get a fair understanding of how that works. So yeah, that's something that you really do want to look at. Obviously, the other thing is too your gear. There's a heap of different reticles you can look at with scopes and everything like that. That depends on how far you want to go into it, what distance you want to shoot, the caliber. There's a lot with that. I would have a look, mate, and I'll give these guys a big plug, is Impact Dynamics. Okay, so Rusty, who runs that, now I've known him for many years, a really knowledgeable fellow with long range shooting. If you have a look at Impact Dynamics on, I think, well, they'd be on YouTube, but they're definitely on Facebook. And those guys there, they do all the PRS competitions and right into the long range stuff and everything like that. And there's a lot of knowledgeable people there with it. So, you could always pick up some tips, by having a look at that page and perhaps getting in touch with a few of the people from there, and they can give you some guidance. But for me, look, it depends what you actually want to do for me to make a specific recommendation. But that's the sort of thing you've got to consider when you look at long range shooting. But for me, I tell you what, I love getting out there with the 22 and shooting at 300. You try that, and when you hit a little gong, at that distance consecutively, it's a great feeling, and it's pretty cheap to do. So have a look at it, mate, and see how you go. All right, let's have a look here. Okay, so Nash Martin says here, what are your thoughts on shooting high velocity 22 LR out of older rifles? Now, good question that, because I remember when I was a kid, I had a Lithgow, an old Lithgow single shot. And, I was told don't use high velocity ammunition out of it. And I never questioned it as a kid because, I thought, okay, well, my elders know better, and I will just use standard velocity ammunition. It's a hard one, mate. I can honestly say I haven't really looked into the science behind it, because really when you look at pressures with the 22 LR, it's not that great anyway. Would the bolt and everything be fine with it? Look, it probably would, but I don't know without going right into the science behind it. Okay, another question here. Maxi, hey, Aussie Reviews, what do you think of reloading? I've looked at it lots. Well, as I said, I used to do it a lot when, when I was a kid, because obviously cost was a real big thing for me then. It still is now. But to be quite honest, for me, like if I've got a rifle and I can shoot half an inch groups at 100 with it, with factory ammo, I just go, what's the point of reloading? Because one, I don't have the time because I'm trying to manage the property here and do reviews and other things, and I just don't have the time for it, unfortunately. So that's sort of why I go that way. And the factory ammo these days is that good, and the rifles are done with such good tolerances that you can actually achieve that. So for me, like if it's hunting, for example, I look at it and I go, well, what more do I need? Like dead's dead. Like, if I'm shooting a game animal and say it's a headshot and I shoot them here or here, like, well, it's not going to make any difference. So if you're going into like, target shooting and then you want to reload, yeah, look, I can understand that. However, for me, I mean, look at when I reviewed the Ticker A1 TAC, like with those Winchester 140 grain match ammo and the 6.5 Creedmoor there, like 0.3 of an inch for 5 shots at 100 out of the 1,000 consecutive hits, like it's just an awesome setup and straight from the factory. So, I look at it, I go, do I really need to invest in, a reloading press and then invest in the time and getting powder? And look at it now, like getting powder is so hard to do. So, yeah, so that's personally why I don't reload. And another side of it too, guys, is believe it or not, the other reason why I don't reload is from a commercial point of view. So with insurance and my businesses, so farming, even the feral pest control, even here on YouTube, um, you know, I use factory ammunition because insurance wise, it covers me as well. So yeah, that's the other reason why I do it. Okay, let's have a look here. We'll have a look, take a couple more questions. No problem in answering your question there, Maxi. My pleasure. Okay. Riley Thompson, does AR500 steel weld well? Wanted to make some shooting targets. Mate, I have no idea. I've never welded it. I'm not a welder. I've bought all my stuff from STS Targets down in South Australia. So, perhaps you could shoot them a message and say, look, how does it weld? Or just go to engineering place and ask them, or simply try it. I can't answer that one, mate. I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that. One here, Chico 710. Hi, Ozzy. What's your thoughts on 300 blackout front 150 meters? Yeah, good. Just like the 7.62 by 39. Like it's a good cartridge there for those distances. Like I say, to me, hunting distances are usually about that 75 to 125, around there. That's the average shot. So 300 blackout. Especially with, I think when I tested that, what did I use? I think it was 110 grain VMAX. Like I tell you what, that was moving pretty quick, and some decent knockdown with that. So yeah, I find it fine. It depends on what you're wanting to shoot. Like would I be selecting that caliber if I was going up to the Gulf in Queensland and shooting really large, heavy pigs? Yeah, probably not. I'd be more leaning towards maybe a 30-30 or 308, something like that personally. Okay, we'll take another one here. Joseph asks, what caliber do you think is a better option for goat hunting? The 308 Win or the 6.5 Creedmoor? Mate, honestly, I've dropped goats to the 22 Magnum. Either of those calibers will definitely do the job. In all honesty, they're probably even overkill. I'd probably go 223. Goats are fairly easy to drop. They're not like a buffalo or something along the lines there. So out of those ones, I mean, look, are you shooting really long range? Because otherwise, I wouldn't go for either one of those. 6.5 would be more than ample. 308 definitely. it'll just tear through them. And you'll probably find too with goats, with those calibers, mate, it'll tear through them and the round will keep going. And that's why I say I'd probably drop it down a little bit. Okay, another guy, Gauntlet. Do you use the Adler you reviewed a few years ago? I'm looking at buying it. Which one? I've reviewed two. I've reviewed a lever action. I've reviewed a straight pull. No, I don't because I mean I've got a semi-auto shotgun, so I don't worry about any of those shotguns. Like I'll review them and then that'll be it. So a mate of mine's got both of those. So yeah, and he's still using it, still likes it. But yeah, I think the straight pull was definitely better. But something you've just got to be careful with that I find with a lot of those Turkish shotguns, they can be a little bit hit and miss with quality. I'm not saying the Adler in particular, but I know people have had some bad experiences with them and other shotguns. So, mate, it's like anything. You sort of get what you pay for. If you want a cheap shotgun, I had no problems personally with the Adler straight pull, and I think that was the better option over the lever because I remember the lever, my knuckles were killing me from that action. So, yeah, it wasn't my favorite. Maybe that's why I don't like lever action firearms in general. Okay, so all right. Do I have a favorite? This one from Xavier. Do I have a favorite semi-auto? I imagine you mean like just rifle or shotgun there, Xavier. I do. If it's a shotgun, the Benelli M4. I've had a couple of different semi-auto shotguns, and the Benelli M4 is just an absolute beast of a shotgun. I love that thing. The recoil reduction in it. It's got dual pistons in it, and those pistons self-clean as they cycle. It's just insane the amount of engineering that's gone into that shotgun. And yeah, that would be my favorite shotgun. As for semi-auto rifle, I have to say my favorite semi-auto rifle at this stage is the Guncraft 22 Magnum AR-15 that I've got now. I just loving that thing. It is just awesome. So I'm looking at doing a maybe just putting the GoPro on and just doing a little bit of a pig cull or something with it to show you how decent shot placement with the 22 Magnum can drop peaks. Also with the Benelli M4, I'm looking at doing that as well. So if you guys want to see that type of thing, give us a thumbs up, comment, and let us know. All right, let me have a look here, guys. So many questions. I'll try to get to as many as I can for you, okay? Adam Jansen, can you recommend a hunting sporting 223? Yes, the Ruger American, 100%. That with OSA 55 grain Sierra Game Kings, you're looking at 3 shots. And a good friend of mine whose rifle that I used to do that review is never ever selling it because, 0.1 and 0.2 of an inch groups there at 100 for 3 shots was just fantastic. Awesome ammo. So, yeah, that's what I would actually go with. Elias, hey Aussie, love the channel. I just got my AB license. What do you recommend for a first rifle? Mate, that's I guess a one that needs a bit more explanation. What do you want to do? Do you just want to be at the range or, out sort of plinking, hunting or something like that? I think personally, I mean, I wouldn't go past like a 22, just to have a bit of fun. It's cheap, it's affordable. You can get into the fundamentals of shooting and understand that. So what I mean is like your trigger control, your breathing, and just have some absolute fun with it because everyone is going to have a 22 in their collection at some stage. So that's what I'd be looking at. Excuse me. Okay, so next question I got here is from Tim. What do you like using for a torch? So I've got the Olight torches. So yeah, that's mate, that's what I use. I mean, I've used a couple of different ones. I've reviewed like Ledza and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just like the Olight ones. They've replaced even my spotlights. So yeah, that's what I do. Okay. I got another question here. Favorite caliber for hunting wallaby? Well, yeah, you can't do that legally in Queensland, but in I think Tasmania you can do that. So maybe you're from down there. Honestly, I don't know if there's any guidelines on what you can and can't use to shoot them with, but anything from like 22 Magnum, like 22 Hornet, but for cheap ammo and everything, probably just 223. and you just head shoot, and that would be more than ample enough to be able to do that. Sorry, I'm trying to read another question coming through here, guys. Let's have a look here. Okay, so shooting down under, thoughts on the 222? I like it. The 222 is a fantastic cartridge. I remember using them when I was younger, and then it was sort of like some of the older guys were still hanging on to the 222s. A lot of reloaders prefer the 222, just that longer neck over the 223. And to be quite honest, it's kind of like saying, the difference, what do you prefer between, like, say, 30-06 and 308? Like, really, there's not much difference at the end of the day. 222 is fantastic. The accuracy that you can get from 222 is really good. I think it's an excellent cartridge. Is it going to die off? Maybe it is. There's a lot of people that hang on to it, and there's different manufacturers, like, say, for example, Anschutz. They're still making 222. Seiko, they're still making 222. So I think it'll be a while before it dies off, but definitely 223 is the more popular one. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, so Harrison asked me here, are you going to do a review when the Ruger-made Marlin 3030 comes to Australia? Look, possibly, mate. It's like anything. If I get the opportunity to do it and it's interesting, then yeah, 100% I would do it. Okay, let's have a look here. Just reading through here a bit more, guys. Okay, question here from Joseph. Is there any point purchasing a 410 shotgun for the farm? I laugh here because my stepdad would be, I could just see him in the background, like just he'd be right up me about this one, because I used to love 410s when I was younger, and he used to tell me that there's no point, they're useless. You either get a 12 gauge or nothing at all. That was always his opinion. And he still has that opinion to this day. So, but it depends on what you want. I mean, a lot of people like using 410s and shooting mice and rats and all that sort of stuff, and it's a bit of fun. You can get some decent shots for them. Like there's a bit of fun to it. Like there's not a whole heap of noise. There's certainly not a lot of recoil. It's just one of those fun, I guess, shotguns that you can have and use. I mean, yeah, it's a hard one, mate, because the price of it too, like you could get 12 gauge for the same price or even less in a lot of, I guess, circumstances. So, for me, 410's not for me, but it depends on what you're doing and what, you like to do with it. So, okay. Okay, so this is a big one. So Jack asked me here, sorry I joined late, mate. Can I ask, are you feeling any anti-gun issues with YouTube of late? Yes, it is driving me mad, but I don't stop. I keep doing what I'm doing. So everyone needs to please check their subscription to me, because what happens is, guys, this has been going on for years, but it's only lately that I guess I, have basically been more vocal about it. I guess that's my bad. I should have been more vocal about it. What they do is, like, literally, I'll be sitting here and I'll look at like the amount of subscribers I got, and then the very next morning I log in, and all of a sudden I'm 1,500 subscribers down. And what they do is they take the views that those 1,500 subscribers had viewed on my channel as well, so that's taken off. So it's really frustrating because you're trying to grow, and when you actually have a YouTube channel, you can have a look at the analytics and you can see where you're at and your projected growth rate is in another year and so forth like that. And years ago I was projected to be well and truly over 300,000 followers, but no, every single month I'm getting knocked off about 1,000 to 1,500 followers. So what happens is guys have to resubscribe and resubscribe and resubscribe. The big thing is enabling that bell icon so you can, get those, like notifications from me about new videos and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really frustrating. Every time I announce it and I talk about it, like now, I notice the subscription rate jump up another 1,000 basically, because it's like everyone becomes aware of it and they check it and they go, "Hang on a minute, I've been unsubscribed here again." So I've had a lot of people saying that once they resubscribe a couple of times and they keep forcing the issue, basically, that YouTube leave them alone. So let's hope that that's a good sign of the future, and that we're not going to have any more problems, because yeah, it's very hard. I think once I get to that 100,000 subscribers, they give you that official tick. I think they might ease off a lot then, and then I can actually grow and my videos will be recommended and stuff. But it's just getting to that. I think I'm about 75, 76,000 at the moment, but it just keeps getting knocked down, goes back up, whatever. But does it stop the view, my reviews or anything? No, it doesn't. But it'd just be nice to be recognised for, over 10 years now of giving up virtually every free day that I have to be able to film something and bring something to the Australian community or shooting community. So, it is quite frustrating in that way. So, all I can say, guys, is, if you actually like a video, please actually give it the thumbs up, because that helps as well. The more videos get thumbs up, the more it's likely to be recommended and stuff like that. Share videos. If you're on Facebook, follow our Facebook page. That's the same thing. They do the same thing there. For years and years, I could not get past 29,000 followers. And then all of a sudden now it's at like 34, but it's been like that for like the last year and it just won't go over that. It keeps going over but resetting. So it's really frustrating. So guys, it's only you guys that can help change that. The more and more that you fight it, the more and more we'll fight it together, and I'll actually get the message out there. So yeah, I really appreciate it if you guys can do it. And like I said, if you guys want to donate to what I do, I prefer that you actually buy a rifle bag or something like that, because I don't like people just donating. I like to actually have something for their money. But, people are very funny. People just go, no, I just want to make a donation. If you want to do that, the PayPal ID, AussieReviews@gmail.com. But if you want something for your money, you want a rifle bag, that helps me out a lot. Not that I make a lot of money on it, but it helps me out because you guys go out to a range, all of a sudden, the rifle bag's sitting there, and, the person on the bench beside you goes, "Oh, Aussie Reviews rifle bag." You know what I mean? And then people get talking, and then, you might talk about different reviews I've done and stuff like that. So it does help me in that regard, very much so. So yeah, so thank you to all of you who actually, do follow me and obviously help me out in many, many ways, like that, from just talking to your friends, sharing my videos, liking my videos and everything. I really appreciate it. I honestly do. Okay, excuse me. Let's have a look here. So, okay, so Six Knot says to me, can you recommend an ammo box to take to the range? Cheers. Mate, I don't, because normally I just have factory ammo, so I just take a box of that. Not that I go to a range at all, but that's what I used to take. There's plenty of different ones around, mate. It's just whatever works for you and is at the right price. Hayden asked this question. He says, hey, Aussie, do you ever think we'll get concealed carry in Australia or the right to own firearms for self-defense? Short answer, no. Long answer, yes. If all shooters were to actually vote as one and put the politicians in power that would allow that, or at least present a bill to allow that. I also think too, guys, that we're entering a very dark time in the world in general, not just Australia. I mean, you've only got to watch the news of a night time and see how out of control crime is. And I think to myself, is it going to get to a point where the citizens have had enough of being victims? And as good as the intentions of police are to try to protect people, they can't always help people. And that's what we're seeing on the news all the time. So is it going to get to that tipping point where it has been like in the Czech Republic, where they allow their citizens to use firearms for self-defense? I don't know. I can't really answer that. Um, I don't know. I honestly don't, mate. I think that personally, if the million shooters that we've got in this country and their family and friends and all voted as one, we could have changes however we like. I really believe that. But it's getting it's getting that to that stage. I mean, shooters are just so apathetic. It's terrible, and they, like, how can I put it, guys? They don't want to take their mind to that place where they have to think or believe that the government is going to try to take their firearms away. So they look for any excuse just to satisfy in their own mind, no, that won't happen. And they keep the blinkers on. But guys, those days are over. Just wake up, like that's all I can say to shooters that have that attitude. Have a look at the restrictions that we have had on us since 1996 and look at the other restrictions in WA recently. What justification is there in WA to ban the calibers that they did? And guess what? There's a second ban list coming. So you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't stop. These people don't stop. And that's what I've been saying since I've started the channel. They do not stop. They will keep coming for your guns. They will keep coming up with restrictions and proposals as time goes on. And they've got to the stage now where they don't even need an incident to justify it. All they'll do is, it's like Minority Report, with Tom Cruise, where they go, oh, we just want to future-proof anything happening, so we're just going to bring in some more gun laws. I completely disagree with that. So you guys know my feeling, on it. So yeah, look, that's all I can say about that. Okay, let's have a look through here. Sorry, guys, just reading a few more here. All right, so we got Glenn's asked here, going my first deer hunt in Blackbutt, Queensland this Saturday. Any tips? Okay, what are you using, mate? What are you going to go out and shoot them with? How big's the property that you're on? The only thing that I can say is, mate, honestly, make sure you identify your target before you pull that trigger. In that area, are you on a very large property? Make sure you've got a safe backstop, all those standard, things there. But as for tips, this is something that maybe I should look at doing. Is I did many years ago, I actually did a hunting course, as in ran the hunting course and gave people tips on, surveying the different land and where to walk and things like that. It's pretty hard just to do like here without sort of getting out and showing examples of it. But perhaps something like that, maybe that might interest, a few people. Okay, so Bill just joined us. Evening, Aussie, just got on. Did you get to my question from Patreon? Cheers, Bill. Yes, I did, mate. It was, where are we? Sorry. Yeah, I did reply to it because you sent that to me personally. So I didn't read it out here. I got to it privately, so we can chat more there about that. Okay, let's have a look here. Some more stuff. Okay, some different. Okay, so this is another one. Okay, so Rick, is Full Metal Jacket okay for hunting? No. The reason why I say that is, look, if someone is using like a 168 grain Sierra Game King, Match King in 308, are you going to drop game with it? Yeah, you will, but it's just going to pass straight through. I did a video, and this is an older video, and all I could do was an example of shooting into basically a bit of timber. And I used the 308, and I was showing you the difference between, basically rapid expanding rounds, like, hollow points, like varmint type rounds. And then I used match. And then I also went to Game King, and I showed the difference between that deeper penetrating, slow opening or expanding round compared to, the rapid expansion, and then also the match, which is designed to hold together. It's very hard. It's not designed to open up. So, yeah, have a look at that video. I'm just trying to think of what I actually called that video now, guys. I'll have to have a search for it. But if you can't find it, message me privately on Facebook or something like that, mate, or send me an email to aussiereviews@gmail.com, and I'll reply to you there. But no, you don't. You want something when you're hunting that's going to expand and create that temporary wound cavity. So if you look at a projectile when it's under slow motion and as it goes into like ballistic gelatin, as it enters that ballistic gelatin, you see this massive cavity expand and then close. Well, that's what's called the temporary wound cavity. So with that temporary wound cavity, that's created by that projectile as it expands, as it's penetrating through the medium. In other words, the gelatin or the body of a game animal. So, to have that decent temporary wound cavity and also have a projectile that opens up enough and expands enough to create that channel going through, which is going to cause the blood loss and everything, and make a humane kill. That is why hunting rounds are designed for hunting, and matches a completely different scenario altogether. So I'd never ever use Full Metal Jacket for hunting, never. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, so I got a question. What is it, Malou Traeger? If given the opportunity, Aussie, would you get a proper AK-47? Probably not, to be honest. I like the AR-15. I had the SKS. I mean, it was similar, not exactly an AK, but very similar when I was younger. And it's fine and everything, but I prefer the AR-15. I just love all the stuff and the extras and the add-ons and everything I can do with the AR. It's sort of like, I don't know, it's like Lego for men. So yeah, it's just a better platform in my view. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, beam me up, Scotty. Says, Aussie Reviews, pistol bag is out of stock. Do you have an ETA? No, I don't, mate. They're discontinued. I don't have them anymore. I've only got the rifle bags left, so, they're still in stock. I've got plenty of them. I think I've got about 60 somewhere there in stock, so there's plenty there. But I don't have the pistol bags. Also, the shotgun bags. I'm getting questions from people about it. I'm considering doing another run of maybe 100 of them, but they were also, I discontinued them because if something goes months and months without selling, then, I'll probably discontinue it from there. So the rifle bags are obviously the number one seller. I mean, I've sold over 1,000 of them now. Like, it is just dead set being that popular. And I thank all you guys for, obviously supporting me, with that. And I hope that every one of you that's bought those rifle bags and other bags from me have absolutely loved them, because a lot of thought and time has gone into them. Because what I actually do is when I get a bag is I'll get it and I'll use it myself. So I'll have like the demo basically, and then I'll make modifications to it. And I speak to the manufacturer about it here in Australia. And I say, look, I want to make these mods to it. And then they'll do that. Then they'll send me another one with those mods, which I've got to pay for. But then I get it just right. So, for example, the rifle bag, the original one that they sent me, like the pocket on the side was only like really small. So I've gone, well, how's that of any use to a shooter? So we made it big enough so you could fit a decent long action bolt into it, or a pack of ammo, So we made those mods. Made mods with like the handles on it and stuff like that. So that's what I like to, that's what I like to actually do, is put some decent thought into it. I've actually got as well I'm considering releasing this. I've got it here at the moment. I've got the Aussie Reviews. It's a Gen 2 M4 rifle bag, so I've shortened it, but also it's got core flute in it, so it holds the shape of the bag and everything. Plus, it's got padded handles and everything like that. I might end up posting a picture of it. The only thing is with that, like, it's a meter in length, and trying to post that is probably going to present a few problems. So I've got to take it down to my local post office and see the girls there who always help me out, and see if we can come up with a sensible solution to be able to post them and post it obviously economical. Like, there's no use if it's, you're paying $150 for a bag, for example. If you then got to pay, $80 or $50 for postage, it's too much. So, yeah, so we've got a few things in the pipeline. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, so 6 knots. How do you buy one of your rifle bags, mate? Very simple. AussieReviews.com.au. Just go there, and you can purchase one. Everything's online there. I'll get a notification from PayPal. It'll give me your address and everything, and I do my very best to get it off the next day. So, today's Sunday, so tomorrow it will be sent if you ordered tonight. I'm a little bit slack with letting people know when I've sent them because I focus so much on getting them sent. But a lot of people message me within a day of me sending it, go, "Oh, mate, it's here already." It's like, yeah, I really pride myself in getting them off really quickly. So yeah, if you do want one, mate, I'll do my best to get it off. And as I say, tomorrow I'll be able to get that off. Okay, so Joe 12 Gauge says, Aussie, what's your thoughts on the proposed 5-gun limit for recreational shooters in WA? Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. I reject all those new laws in WA wholeheartedly because, in my view, no way is that going to change anything for public safety. Like, honestly, the criminals are just sitting back, oh, look at these idiots debating all this stuff. It just doesn't even affect them. And they're the ones we're seeing on the news running around doing armed holdups and all the rest of it. You know, I mean, if the Australian gun laws were that effective, then why couldn't we just simply look up the registry, the registered shooters, and find the offenders all the time? Just an absolute joke in my view. And there's so many examples of contradictions in that legislation that I could just rattle off. I'd be here all night. And it really, really does frustrate me, guys. Because, yeah, by all means, every shooter that I know wants to keep firearms out of the hands of people who are mentally ill, for example, who are posing a threat to the public or themselves, and obviously out of the hands of criminals. Like, none of us are against that. We're all for it. However, what happens when there's something that goes on with criminals? Instead of actually making sure the criminals are penalised, what do? Oh, criminals done something with a firearm. Let's hammer us, the licensed shooters. Like, how does that work? In what world does that work? It's just, I see it as a cheapskate's way out. Like, it's an easy road out. Oh, we've got this group of law-abiding people. Let's beat our chest and show mum and dad, average Joe public, what we're doing about gun laws, because they won't realise the difference. That's how it is. That's how it is in my view. And I hate it. I hate it with a passion. And I think it is just so wrong. Like, all of us who have been law abiding for the amount of years that we have had firearms licenses, how about a thank you to all of us for our years of being law abiding? But no, what do we get? We get treated like crap by the firearms registries. We get treated with contempt from politicians. We're just like the next Martin Bryan in waiting. That's how they view us, and I find that very offensive, extremely offensive. If anything, I think that most shooters should be actually recognised for their years of being law-abiding, and actually given, I would imagine, a higher level of respect when it comes to being trusted, with different things. That's my view on it. I just think it's just absolutely ridiculous, guys. Okay, next question I got here from what we got here, Badman 1990. What are your thoughts on the price of a decent condition Remington 7615 being $2,000 plus now? Worth buying or overpriced? No, I don't. I mean, look, a lot of them were around about $1,500-$1,600 years ago, like when I had them. So yeah, look, it's like anything. I keep saying, don't I? The words I keep saying: get what you can while you can. I honestly, it is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. Get what you can while you can, because it only goes up in price. Doesn't matter whether it's firearms, doesn't matter whether it's ammo. And as time goes on, it usually gets harder and harder to obtain. Have a look at it now with powder, ammunition, and firearms like the 7615 being discontinued. So, mate, I think I like them. I think they're a great firearm, to be quite honest. I've had 2 of them now and never had an issue with them, and just was nice and accurate. I found Hornady 55 grain VMAX really good out of the 7615. And put a red dot on it or something. It's just a sensational little firearm. Okay, RNAO Roger, have you ever tried 3D printed mags? No, I haven't, never. Okay, Hayden, hey mate, how have you been traveling since your operation? Great to see you back at it. Your videos have helped me a lot to start out. Are you working on any more pistol reviews? Any thoughts on the Glock 17? Yeah, look, mate, have a look at my Glock videos. I've actually reviewed quite a few Glocks, so just have a look there, and you'll be able to obviously see that. As for how I'm traveling, man, I'm pretty good. Like you know, I had a checkup with a specialist there 2 weeks ago, and they were looking at like my lungs, and that's all clear. They said everything's pristine there. They had a look at my liver, and they said the scan came back as I may possibly have some issues again, may not, but it's too early to determine because obviously the liver is growing back because they took half of it. So, and the bigger half, mind you, if you know what it looks like. So, yeah, um, basically another 4 months, got to get another scan and see how we go. So, yeah, mate, look, I'm doing fine. Fitness and everything's probably back to about 80% of what it was. So, you know, it's a ongoing thing, but like I feel so much better, you know, like even though I've had those operations, I do feel a lot better. And a lot of it's up here, you know, as I said, like, you know, if you, I guess, accept or, you know, defeat, then defeat of the mind, everything else goes downhill from there. I got too many reviews to do anyway, mate, to worry about that. So I'll keep pushing on as you know as much as I can. Okay, what else have we got here? We'll probably extended out a little bit too long here, guys. But look, if there's a few questions here, I'll wrap up soon. But we'll answer a couple more. Okay, so Daniel Marshall. Hey, mate, do you know if it's possible to import Cat C if you're a collector? I'm considering possibly getting a collector's license. No, you cannot import Cat C as a collector. You have to buy what's here, basically. So, in other words, if you wanted a Ruger 1022, you can't go getting one from, say, Cleaver Firearms that has a brand new one in stock in customs bond. So, how it works is they do these import tests, okay? So, don't think of it as a test as such. It's not like that. The wording is very confusing to a lot of people with federal import laws. But basically, for Category C, the only people that can import them is obviously a dealer. When the dealer imports them, he can't then just sell to you over the counter. You can go in, you can have a look at it, but you cannot buy it and take that home without an import permit. And the only people that can get an import permit for Category C, especially rifles, that is a primary producer, feral pest controller. Okay, they're the only two occupations there. So you can't, so you can't. What's the word? Like you can't get anything else there with it, okay? The only other exemption is if you are a certified sports shooter for shotguns, you can import Category C shotgun, but you've got to be a member of a proper accredited club and, and go from there. So, all right, so yeah, it's sort of hard to go from there. Just bear with me here, guys. Going through here. Okay, so so that's how you got to do it. But should you get a collector's license? Yes, I believe that you should. Category C collector's license is fairly straightforward to do. Here in Queensland, you don't even need to be a member of an accredited historical club to have Category C collector license. And it is good because, if you you want you pick up like a 1022 and then there's different stuff you can buy for it and things. It's a lot of fun. For example, you can, what else? Like, say, for example, if there's like a, secondhand, like AR, a 22 LR or 22 Magnum or something like that, then, you can go from there. So just hang on, guys. We've got a bit of spam coming through here. I'm just going to fix this up in the background. Let's have a look here. Should hopefully fix that up. Okay, guys, so if some of you can type some stuff now, let's see if this has been all fixed up, if we're getting something new on the feed from there. Let me just refresh this here, guys. Yep, okay, I just had to refresh. I've got it on the screen here in front of me, so yep, okay, all good, guys. We've got it back. We're back on. Okay, so let me scroll up past all the spam. and just see what we got here. Okay, so I'll go back up here to Guitar Master 6000. Hey Aussie, great to see you doing well. My question, what is your favorite 22 LR ammo of all time? Glad someone's asked this. Mine is SK High Velocity Hollow Points, and they don't make it anymore. And I even emailed SK in Germany and said, why would you discontinue the best 22 LR high velocity ammunition you could ever possibly have? I didn't care what it was in. It didn't matter whether it was in my rifles, 22 pistols. That ammo just shot the most consistent and accurate out of any high velocity ammunition I have ever used, hands down. And they discontinued it, and it was like my world came to an end. Honestly, I've still got probably a couple of hundred rounds of it. Not a lot. I bought a heap of it years ago, and then yeah, when they discontinued it, I was like, why didn't I jump on more of it earlier? It was just the best round, the most accurate. I used it for hunting. Just a fantastic round. So what am I using now? And that's what I was doing today. I had my CZ 22LR, I had my Ruger American 22LR, and I was basically zeroing them for Ely high velocity 38 grain hollow points. And I've been able to get it shooting at around about that half an inch there at 50. So I'm doing fairly well with it. It's taken a bit of fiddling around with it, but I've got that down. But it's still not like the SK High Velocity. That stuff was just sensational. Excuse me, if any of you saw my video I did on the Kid 1022, like using that SK High Velocity, I was shooting like 10 shots into 0.3 of an inch at 50. Like that is just absolutely sensational. So yeah, mate, that was my favorite, and honestly, I've seen that they've released like these long range match rounds and everything like that now, and I'm like, please just bring back the SK High Velocity. So if any of you guys had used it or love it, send an email to SK and tell them bring it back, because I tell you what, if they brought it back, I would honestly go around every gun shop and try to buy as much of it as possible. It was that good, guys. Honestly, it really was. Okay, we'll go through a few more, excuse me, questions here. Duncan says, 44 Magnum thoughts. Mate, look, good cartridge. A lot of people go, believe it or not, to 357 because, out of a rifle, the velocity that you're getting with 357 is pretty impressive. And, with the correct shot placement there, for me, it's basically shooting out there, like I said, hunting distances, 75, 125 yards. 44 Magnum's got more knockdown. There's no two ways about it. I think 357's probably got the edge because people can use 38 special through it, not so much for hunting, but if they just want to have a bit of fun plinking, it's a bit cheaper. They can do that as well. But yeah, 44 Magnum is a fantastic cartridge. CJ Vella, will you do any more semi-auto reviews? Yeah, absolutely. I'm keen to do more, mate, but they're very specific. And what I say by specific is it's not something I can just do all the time. If you notice, when I get a semi-auto, I don't go just shooting at gongs and targets and all that sort of stuff, just having a heap of fun, because you actually can't do that. Okay, it's for feral pest control in primary production. So I can shoot at a target to sight in or test ammunition that is the most accurate in the rifle, do some cycling tests and stuff like that, but that's all that I can do with it. So that's why I actually do my semi-auto reviews that way. Okay, that's exactly why I do. A lot of people are confused with that, but you have to be sensible with it because yeah, you've always got weapons licensing and all the other anti-gunners out there watching, just hoping that I'll slip up. But you know what? I won't. So too bad for them. Okay. Joe's asked another question here. 308 for camels. Look, camels usually, they don't let you get very close to them. That's been my experience with it, like quite a few hundred out. They're not ones to like to be up close and personal. So, 308, will it drop a camel? Yeah, absolutely it will. 308, I can even tell you, using 165 grain Sierra Game Kings, will drop most things here in Australia. As for camels like that, for me, I'd want something that's going to have a bit more knockdown, a bit further out. So I would probably go for a 300 Win Mag myself. That's just me personally. Okay, so James Halpin says, "Hi Ozzy, while you're on the subject of 22, is there any mag loaders for the CZ457? Not that I'm aware of. Mate, I've always found them very, very easy to load. So yeah, I don't know of any. Sorry, if anybody else does, by all means, feel free to comment. Okay, so Adam says here, can you give me a bit of guidance on going for my collector Cat C? Okay, look, I'll give this to you guys here. I've spoken about it with my How to Get a Collector's License in Queensland. I don't know where you are, Adam, but if you are in Queensland, this is pretty much the same. So basically, when you go for a collector's license, you have to talk about your experience and your interest in firearms. So that could be that you've had say, for example, an AB license for 20 years. Could be that you've had it for 6 years or 7 years. You may have a pistol license as well. You may have had numerous firearms in that time. But I've seen people who don't even have firearms on their A and B license who get a collector's license from there because they've articulated their interest in collecting firearms. So, for example, you might be very interested in reading a lot of historical books on various different firearms that are used in different war era. So Vietnam War, Malayan Emergency, Second World War, all that sort of stuff. So, as long as you can articulate that you've got a genuine interest in that, you can usually get over the line, no problem whatsoever there, especially with a Cat C. Cat C was very straightforward to get. It's only once you get up into the handguns and modern inoperable handguns, okay, that's when they start to really put the pressure on you, and they want you to be a member of a historical club and everything like that. But if you want to be able to just go and get perhaps some old 303s, so you get A, B, C on the collector's license as temporarily inoperable, so in other words, stored with the trigger lock or the bolt removed or something like that. That's fairly easily done. It's only once you start getting up into category H that isn't permanently inoperable, that's when they start to come down on you with a lot of restrictions and make it a lot harder. Okay, all right, guys, we'll have to finish up soon. So have a look through here. Okay, so Mott says, hey, mate, what's your thoughts on the Adler 230B mag fed? Would you be open to doing a review for it? Basically, yeah, I would. Mate, I've done 2 of the Adlers already, the straight pull and also the lever action there. It'd be pretty much the same, but I'd be happy to take happy to take a look at it. Okay, so look, guys, we'll wrap that up. I got to get and have some dinner and put my feet up for the rest of the night. So, thank you to everyone with your questions there, and thank you to those guys who do support me on Patreon. It means the world to me because it allows me to keep going with what I'm doing. Sorry, I will mention before I go, I'm actually working on at the moment. I've got in touch with a company in the US, and they're looking at doing like the high vis targets that I shoot at, like the Hornady and the high vis stuff that I use from time to time, but my own Aussie reviews ones. So yeah, I'm hoping to have them at some stage in the future so that I can have my own brand up there when I'm shooting. So I'm looking at doing a few different designs with that. Am I going to resell them? I don't know, but I will be ordering a couple of thousand of them anyway because I want to have plenty of spares for myself. So that's something I'm working on at the moment, guys. And also too, I'm looking at a couple of different gun bags, not the rifle bag, but like the M4 one, that as well. And I've got a couple of, because my apologies, I didn't start with what was new at Aussie Reviews at the start of this, but I'll tell you now. I've got one of the Bluety or Bluetti, as they talk about, electric generators. And what I mean by electric generators, they're a standalone battery unit. And the one I've got is, was it 1.8 kVA? 1.5. I've got to check it. I only just got it today. So I've been playing around with that, and it's got like a fold-out solar panel and everything. And this thing charges everything from your phone. It's got USB ports on it, magnetic charging for your phone, DC, AC. It's got two 240 plug outlets and that. So fantastic for when you're out camping. Like, gone are the days of having to worry about mixing fuel and, and the fumes and the noise of generators. This thing is just awesome from what I can see. So I'm going to give you a good review of that because I think it's very applicable to hunting and also to people who like to go out camping and things in general. And it just runs silent. And this thing, I'm going to actually show you it running like a proper stand-up freezer, television, all that sort of stuff, and show you how much it can, actually put out. So keep an eye out for that one. And I've got to do it too. And if you're actually watching, I can't remember the guy's name now. I'm sorry. It's a company that does electric, like motorbikes. So, for our use in hunting, absolutely sensational because you can, get out there and just basically not be heard, or very minimal noise when you're getting around on properties and you're doing hunting and stuff. So I've got to look at that. I've got some stuff backing up here. So yeah, there's a few different things there I've got to look at. I'm just looking at a comment here. Peter Foxall, you make a good comment, mate. And this is what I was talking about before. You want the meat from the goats. Don't bother with 308 or 65. Yeah, 100%. I honestly think that 223 is ample there for goats. That's just me personally. All right, guys, we'll finish it up at that. Otherwise, I'll be here all night. We'll be going through it. So, once again, thank you very much to those guys who support me on Patreon. If you want to have a look at that, I put the links in a lot of the different Q&As and that you can easily find it. And also, too, if you do want to make any sort of donations to me, guys, I know people prefer that over Patreon and stuff. You can send stuff through to PayPal with the user ID AussieReviews@gmail.com. But like I said, I honestly prefer people get something for their money. That's just me personally, but each to their own. If you want to have a look at some of the merch that I've got, I've only got the rifle bags back in stock. I've got some patches, but if you go to AussieReviews.com.au, and you can click the web store from there and have a look. So, but anyhow, guys, once again, thank you very much to all of your support. The biggest thing that you can do to help me out is just hit that like button, share my videos, and make sure you're still subscribed and you've got that bell icon on, and we'll just keep pumping out the reviews. Okay, guys, take care of yourselves, and we'll leave it at that for tonight.